XML, or Extensible Markup Language files, are fancy text files that VisualAnalysis uses to store a lot of customizable material where you normally set the information in the material in VisualAnalysis or another program yourself. The custom information that's stored in XML files includes information about shapes that our members use for properties, materials that both plates and members use, building code combination information, moving load truck definitions, response spectrum definitions, report styles, and ASCE7 user loads. The XML files used in VisualAnalysis are stored in two separate locations. The first location, see Program Data IES Internal, is the location where files are stored during installation of VisualAnalysis. These files are read-only in that you're not allowed to change them. You can look at them, however, and get an idea of the format of the XML files. These files will be accessed by all users on one computer who are using VisualAnalysis. The second location is in C users, your login name, app data, local, IES customer, is where all the files that you are going to be able to modify and change in VisualAnalysis are located. This second folder is hidden. You may have to set settings on File Explorer, for example, to view hidden files because app data is normally a hidden folder. You might want to take note of these locations and jot them down because you may want to reference them in the future. So the question becomes, what is an XML file and how does it look? XML files are simple text files and you can open them with Notepad. That's what I've done in this screenshot, and you can see that I am looking at a file involving trucks. In fact, the file name is trucks.xml, and it includes my user-defined moving load trucks. And XML files can be fairly daunting, but when you look at them closely, are regions that represent an ending and a closing. An XML file always contains a line at the top that includes information about its version and encoding. I strongly recommend you just use this information in all your XML files. Beyond that, XML files include openings and closings. For example, we have a line that starts with trucks, and if we look down at the very bottom of the file, we have a line that ends with a /trucks. That represents an opening and closing pair. And inside that, we have individual truck information. We have additional opening and closings. If we look at truck and /truck, we have the definition of a particular truck. And each line contains an information for a property. In this example, in this line, we're seeing the word name in brackets, followed by a text value, which is truck #name, and then an ending name. So you can get a feeling then for the different properties that are specified when you define a truck. If you don't feel comfortable editing XML files with a text editor like Notepad, there are other tools available that you might use. If you Google XML editors on the website, you'll find many available, some for purchase, some for free. One of the best ones we found is a product called XML Notepad, and it's available directly from Microsoft for free. Again, if you Google it, you should find a location for its free download. Let's look at using XML Notepad to modify an XML file. I've started XML Notepad, and I have the blank screen, and I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to select an XML file that's in my C users, my login, which is Dan V, app data, local, IES customer, and I'm going to go to looking at the moving load trucks. Notice how we can look at load combinations or modify them, materials, shapes, user loads. Some of the other ones you may not want to use, but a common one might be to add another truck for moving loads. So let's select the moving loads truck folder, and we have an XML file. Let's select this trucks.xml file. Now, if the file happens to not be there or blank, you can get an idea of the format of the file to use by looking at the read-only folder, which is C program data IES internal. And we showed that in an earlier slide. Let's go ahead and load up or open up trucks.xml, which we were just looking at with Notepad. When I do that, I see that I have a view over here on the side that's listing the trucks and the two trucks currently defined. And if I expand those, I can see all of the information for each truck. And if I wanted to modify its name, I could select name, come over here to the left pane and change its name to my truck, for example. Let's suppose I want to add a truck. An easy way to add a truck is select a truck from the list, right mouse button copy, go back to the truck's title here, right mouse button paste, and I get a new truck inserted, and I need to enter some new information. So this would be my new truck. This is the lane load. Internal units on all these files are IES units of kips and inches. The axle count, currently we have 2 axles. Let's suppose I want to increase this and add a 3rd axle. So I'm going to change that and go to 3. The first axle will say its magnitude is 1 kip and it's right at the start. Its offset is 0. The second axle, its magnitude, let's change that to 2 kips. And let's say it's offset not at 5 feet or 60 inches, but let's make it at 10 feet or 120 inches. And now I need to enter 2 new magnitudes and offsets. And notice we're increasing them by 1. So now I'm going to select truck. I'm going to use my right mouse button, and I'm going to go to element, and I'm going to select child, which means make it a child of truck. And when I do that, I get a blank entry for the name. We're going to call this magnitude 2. We'll come over here and enter a value for it. Let's say this is going to be 10 kips. And we're going to do that one more time down to element, child, and select offset. Enter offset 2. And pick a value. We were at 10 feet. Let's make this at 240 inches or 20 feet. So now I've entered a new truck with 3 axles. And so let's save that information. So I'll go to File, Save. I'm going to exit out of XML Notepad and start Visual Analysis. Okay, I have started Visual Analysis, and let's see if we can find our truck. For example, if I draw a member here, and let's put a moving load on it. So let's go to Load Case Manager, Advanced Cases, Create Moving Load. Let's look down here in my available trucks. Sure enough, my new truck is located, and I can select that. If we want to look at this information, we can click on this ... box, select my new truck, and sure enough, we can see our axle magnitude is 1 at 0 inches, 2 at 120, and 10 at 140. Remember that you can also look at adding custom shapes, custom materials, report styles, and response spectrums information, ASCE7 user load information, and lastly, building code combination information.